Manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. It is such a pleasure to welcome you this evening to Temple Emanuel of South Hills in our Beit HaT'filah. I am Rabbi Aaron Meyer, and I'm honored to be joined this evening by Rebecca Closson and Jim Burns for a wonderful Friday night service. Today was the National Day of Kindness. I wish that I had worn my cardigan sweater, but I'm curious what you have done to recognize this day. What did you do for others or for perhaps yourself? Now would be a great opportunity to grab your phone, to send a message to someone you are thinking of with kindness in your heart, to use the chat box to wish us all a Shabbat Shalom as we continue singing our way into Shabbat, words of Psalm 98, and this is probably a new one for us as a congregation. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor can be found on page 16.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai,
We turn back now to pages 2 and page 5 as first we kindle the lights of Shabbat and then continue with Kiddush, a tremendous Mazal Tov to the Simons family. Ellie, Lily, you're going to be amazing tomorrow, and we're so excited to celebrate with you.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahalikner shel Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
On page 20, we find words of Lecha Dodi, our welcoming prayer, as we welcome even the Sabbath to be with us on this day, as we welcome each of you who are joining us from our sacred space. Shabbat Shalom, Sandy and Lee and Arlene and Mary Kate. Hi, Mom. Hi, Nate and Vanya. Hi, Beth and Matt. It is a pleasure to pray with you as we continue on page 20. When Debbie Friedman wrote her version of our next prayer, Shalom Aleichem, which you can find on page 24, she wasn't enamored with the final stanza. Instead of Statechem L'Shalom, instead of go forth and depart in peace, O ministering angels, she invites them to Shuvchem L'Shalom, to return, to come again. For indeed, when we say goodbye to Shabbat, we truly don't say goodbye forever, but count down the days until it is with us again. And so too do we do in prayer as we join on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Machei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Words of Chatzi Kaddish, our preparation for the central portion of our prayers, can be found on page 26. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'almad yivrach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael b'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam ulal me'al maya Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipar, V'yitrumam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yitalev, V'yithalal, Shemei Kodesh Abrichu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma v'yimeru, Amen. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without God's presence. We continue on page 28, rising in body or spirit as we continue with our Baruch Hu praise.
La 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 la.
Will you join me on the top of page 31? Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And on the bottom of page 33, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue with the watchwords of our faith, Shema Yisrael, pages 34 and 35. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha haderech, uvshochbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, vitem kedoshim leloechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. Our service continues now with our prayer for freedom, which you can find on page 40 in your prayer books. Would you join me on the top of page 43? Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. And on page 45, a thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. Our Amidah begins on page 46. And again, I invite you to rise in body or to rise in spirit as we join together in prayer. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Hakol atah Rav Le'Hoshia. Yeshua, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Milchamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata Lachayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yalu Chazela, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. As we turn now in our service to page 60, there we find words of Shalom Rav asking for God's shelter of peace to be brought and spread in this world. I'm curious this Shabbat, what brings you a sense of peace? What brings you a sense of wholeness? What are those building blocks you use to lay a foundation, to hold you upright and firm, even in these most challenging times? If you're willing to share some of what those things are that are your building blocks, that give you hope or gratitude or a sense of control over those things that we have in our lives, I invite you to use the comment box to do so at this time as we continue in prayer on page 60. We continue now with a moment of silent prayer, adding to these words of our tradition those words that can only come from each of our own hearts. And we continue our prayers for peace, page 62, words of Oseh Shalom.
Amen.
I so appreciate getting to see those building blocks, those things that bring a sense of peace in your life. But how well we are aware there are many in our community who aren't feeling that sense of peace this Shabbat. Perhaps it feels as if it was ripped away from them due to illness, due to anguish, ailments of mind, of body, of spirit. We ask God's prayer upon them as we concert our effort for their healing. Words of Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, can be found on page 253 in our prayer books. And I would invite you at this time to think, to say aloud, to use the chat box if you are comfortable, the names of those for whom we concert our efforts and our prayers for healing. We continue page 253. It feels like I have been white-knuckling the news cycle for a really long time, and I know that I'm not the only one. Even though I know it isn't healthy to obsessively check or read or listen, I just can't seem to help myself. First, it was COVID-19 cases in the lead-up to the national election. Then, it was COVID-19 cases and the lack of certainty around the national election. And then it was COVID-19 cases and the somehow disputed certainty of the national election. Add to that the realization that today is Friday the 13th, only the second such superstitiously ominous date in this year's calendar, the first occurrence, of course, being March 13th, when schools and synagogues and the world recognized the severity of COVID-19 and took immediate steps to flatten the curve. And wow, breathe. This is hard. All of this is hard. Watching the news and experiencing the rising case counts, fighting off the fatigue of making hard choices, not seeing friends and family, missing milestones that were already rescheduled in the hopes that we would have made it through all of this by now. Needing to make so many consequential decisions because those in positions of leadership have abdicated their responsibility at the federal, state, and local levels and left it all to us as individuals. This is hard. Breathe. I see you. I see you going through this. And I want you to see me, someone who's going through it with you. You are not alone. We are not alone. Breathe. And take a moment to notice that breath, in and out, and real and in our control. While there is so much swirling around in this world, while the winds are buffeting us from every direction, it becomes even more important not to take every little moment for granted. Each one of us is a building block, each one of those moments, a building block and a sturdy foundation upon which everything else can rest, a source of strength to hold on to when it feels like you might be blown away. Tonight, I want to share 3 of my little moments from this past week, not as a form of public therapy, but to encourage you to find and hold on to those moments yourself. Wednesday, of course, was Veterans Day. A written proclamation from the White House reads, "America's veterans have fought to defend our country, its values, and its interests since the first days of our founding. They have defeated tyrants, eliminated terrorists, secured freedom at home and abroad. Their courage and fortitude in the face of adversity serve as an example for all Americans. We enjoy the privileges of peace, prosperity, and freedom because of our veterans, and we are forever indebted to them beyond measure." My social media feeds, as well as my conscience, were filled with pictures of friends and family in uniform. I feel a tremendous gratitude for each and every person who served this country, and of course, those who continue to serve, some of whom are with us this evening. Are there veterans in your family, among your friends, that you wish to honor? Doing so reminds us of their sacrifice, their selflessness, and the need to do our part to ensure that their victories were not short-lived. My first building block, gratitude. Thursday, my news feed was filled with articles that Doug Emhoff, the husband of the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, was leaving his law firm and his successful career. I was irked. I was irritated. I couldn't understand why this was the news story. How is it possible that he's overshadowing his wife even now? And it took me a moment to gain perspective. The second husband of the United States, that's worth repeating. The second husband of the United States was leaving his job to prioritize hers, the first Black woman and the first South Asian woman to be a vice president-elect. And Dr. Jill Biden, married to President-elect Joe Biden, well, her last time in D.C., she chose not to leave her career, teaching at a local community college while her husband was vice president. And from the Jewish side of my news feed, I see that not one, not 2, but 3 of Joe Biden's children were married in life or are currently married to Jews. The arc really does bend, and I hope that the president-elect's administration is as reflective of America and the changing dynamics of the American family as are these top 2. It's the second building block, hope. And Friday, today, I took advantage of some of that sunshine to get outside. The kids love jumping in crunchy leaves, scattering and rescattering those leaves we work so hard to rake, and I just love seeing them smile. I also love seeing that nice, clear path made by the lawnmower under our giant maple trees this time of year. For the first 35 seconds or so until another leaf lands on it, I can see progress for my efforts. It's silly, I know. It's small, but at least it's something under my control. It's a third building block. There are still things that we can control in a healthy way, and we can focus our energies on them. Veterans Day. Those individuals, regardless of their politics in the new administration. A small green strip of lawn through the falling leaves. Gratitude, hope, focusing on that which we can control. We can turn away from the news cycle. We must turn away, never long enough to lose focus, but enough to breathe. Breathe. These next weeks, they're going to be hard, but you are not alone. We're doing this together. Find your building blocks. Hold on to your foundation. Gam zeh ya'avor, this too shall pass.
We have come from near and far to raise our voice in song. And the more we join in the refrain, the more we feel strong. Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek. There is a power in this place and time. It shapes the rest of our lives. For when we return each year, we find a truth we can't deny. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek. Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek. As we sing, we link ourselves to those who came before, and we're one with all those yet to come. Our strength, it will endure. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, Chazak. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, Chazak. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, Chazak. Be strong, be strong. Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek.
Our service continues now, page 282, words of Aleinu L'Shabeach, and I again invite you to rise in your place or in spirit as we join in prayer. Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Latet Gedula Liotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kuye Haratzot, Velo Samanu K'mishpechot Hadama, Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem, V'gor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu Korim, Umishachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. This time in our service, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our loved ones, our family and friend, the righteous of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. This Shabbat, the Jewish world remembers a scholar and teacher extraordinaire, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, along with each of our loved ones. We mourn the loss of J. Peter Fried, who is laid to rest in recent days, and observe the period of Shloshim for Betty Friedman Diskin and Anne Winkelstein. This Shabbat we mark the yahrzeit, the commemoration of the passing of Stanley Amster, William M. Ballin, Louis Barr, Diane Slavkin Benson, Charles Blyer, Daniel Brand, Bella Cohen, Sylvia Fabricant, Sam Finder, George Frankel, Louis S. Frankel, Jerome Friedman, Joseph Genstein, David Gurman, Betty Golden, Sarah Goldstein, Robert S. Gollum, Ida Gorin, Arthur Kramer, Jenny Labovitz, Lillian Beebe Light, David London, Norma Mandel, Mary May, Shirley B. McQuarters, Marga Randall, Leo Roos, Howard Rosenberg, Beatrice Rosenblum, Evelyn Rostolsky, Israel Rudoy, Ruth Simons, Samuel L. Simons, Alfred Teplitz, Bob Wolf, Milton Zakowitz, Ann Zeichner, Bernard Zollett. We think also of Cantor Moshe Taube, who is laid to rest, I believe today, a giant in the Pittsburgh and Israeli community. If there are others you are thinking of at this time, I invite you to say their name aloud, to allow those memories to come flooding back. As we pray Zichronam Livracha, those memories may be for us an everlasting blessing. Words of Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 294. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, V'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal. Shemei d'kudsha barich hu. Le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May God, who makes peace in the highest of heavens, make peace for us and for all who mourn, as together we say, amen. Before our concluding melody and our Zoom Oneg this evening, I want to say a special thank you to our wonderful musicians this evening, Rebecca Closson, Jim Burns. I am grateful to the two of you for so enriching our service. Leslie Hoffman, as always, for making all of the technology work. We are grateful to you as well as to everyone who has joined us for this sacred service. Ellie and Lily, you guys are going to be amazing tomorrow morning, and I can't wait to welcome you into the adult Jewish community. Our service this evening concludes on page 322, an oldie but a goodie, something else that brings a spirit of peace and a building block of strength into my heart, words of Ein Kelohenu, page 322.